How is everybody doing today? And in this video, we are going to be doing a couple of things with Aventurine, which, yes, we have early access. Because if you didn't know or you haven't done it already, in the story, you do get to play as Aventurine and test them out to see how you like them. And I can go ahead and say my summed up thoughts as what I would think of Aventurine before we go into the gameplay, which is, wow. He's going to be an insane character for so many different aspects of this game that I cannot wait for him to release. He's going to be a big plus for anyone looking for a limited sustain, and he just provides so much that we just have to talk about it. We have a lot of videos coming out about him, so make sure to leave a sub, like, and all that type of stuff if you're excited for it. But we're going to be taking this video in a couple of stages because there are three things we have to look at. One, it is overall gameplay and how he is. Now, the one major thing I do want to point out is since I am on my free-to-play account, since we already did it on my main account on stream, I'm not going to have a lot of his major traits unlocked, but we are going to pull up footage from when I played on him when it was my main account on the story so that we can actually see a lot of his traces, a lot of his passives be able to be thrown out and how they look in game. So we're going to have the live demonstration. We're going to look over the full out Aventurine gameplay with all of his passives unlocked. And then we're going to end up looking at another piece of information, which we are looking at all the buffs period, so that we can look at all that we have access to in his arsenal of utility that he has for his kit. So of course, going on to Aventurine right now, get away from me. We do have his technique, which is going to be a random slot machine, and this is going to allow you to get a random amount of, what is it called, the defense, which is going to be really nice for him. I think the best combination is the full aces or the spades. I think that's what it is. I forgot what it is. But we are going to go ahead and go into this boss, and of course, as you may know, Aventurine is going to be a shielder. Hopefully I don't have it on auto. Perfect. And just out of the bat, if I'm not wrong, since we are going into the battle with Aventurine, we are going to be automatically getting a shield, which comes from one of his major traits, which is a very big thing for him. So not only is he going to allow you to have a shield for Aventurine, something like Fire MC does, and something like Japar does as well, he is going to actually allow you to have a full-on shield at the start of the match, and this allows him to accrue his blind bet points. If I'm not wrong, this is exactly what it is. And the blind bet points is that once you hit 7, Aventurine will do a follow-up attack that will hit all enemies, and then not only that, he will reapply the shield. Now, the main thing that sucks about this free-to-play account showcase is that he also has another passive, which I will show in the main account once we get to it, which is when you do a follow-up attack on an enemy, which I don't think I'm going to be able to land it on these guys, you do end up getting a blind bet point, which is funny enough, I did land it. You do end up getting a blind bet point. So that's a really freaking cool thing to look at. And this allows for a lot of teams when it comes to follow-up attacks or not follow-up attacks, this allows them to actually be able to replenish his shield non-stop, because every time he does his follow-up attack, he gets his shield, which is very strong. So someone like Dr. Ratio and Topaz, they're going to love Aventurine. Like, they're going to be the #1 best sustain because he's going to help with the crit damage dealt and also with the application of shields non-stop, which can stack over a bunch of different times. Now, the one really cool thing, as I said before, is that he does give a shield to everyone, and with this shield, he is going to be giving you effect res by, it's supposed to be 50% at level 10, which is actually a insane amount of effect res to give to an enemy or an ally, my bad. And this allows for some crazy stuff to happen. Whether you want to run broken kill us on a sustain or a support, this is automatically going to allow them to be at the condition where they're able to activate the broken kill. And then giving 50% effect res, this is a little bit better than a one-time CC prevention because it allows you to actually dodge the whole element as a whole. So this is a really cool thing. And of course, if you top on a little bit more effect res, you're just basically never going to get stunned. You're never going to get hit with dodge, all that type of stuff. It's really, really good stuff for Aventurine, his shield. Now, there are a couple of passes that he does get, which is really cool. One being the red or the black, which is going to increase his defense by 60%. And I'm pretty sure this is coming from his technique. And then leverage is also another buff that he has to him, which is going to increase his crit rate by, if I'm not wrong, 40-ish% if you are playing him on a maxed out Aventurine, which this is an insane thing to have for him. He's going to have a lot of crit damage stats and a lot of crit rate stats so that he's allowed to go ahead and give you shield. He's allowed to go ahead and do damage. There's a lot of really cool stuff that comes from it. But of course, we're going to go ahead and reapply the shield to everyone because this is going to be a skill point use and give everyone the shield. And it's going to allow us for when we do end up getting the attacks on us, we're going to be able to do a follow-up attack, and then he should be able to reapply a shield. As you can see, we did go over the amount of blind bet points, and boom, look at that. Oh, already at 6. That's why he's so strong as sustain, because not only is he allowed to give you a shield on his follow-up attack, he also gets it on his skill. And not only that, he also allows you to just non-stop get a fat ton of follow-up attacks if these enemies are hitting AoE, which a lot of them do. The fishes that hit your whole team, that's 4 stacks. Any enemy that hits your whole team, that's 4 stacks. So there's a lot of really cool stuff, especially since there's not a lot of enemies right now that only hit one ally. That's a really good thing, because now Aventurine is going to do non-stop follow-up attack, follow-up attack, follow-up attack, and this can synergize very well with a bunch of different characters, especially someone like Topaz and Numby, who whenever you hit someone with the follow-up attack, Numby gets advanced forwarded, and he can do damage, and then Aventurine can get a blind bet point, and then Dr. Ratio can do follow-up. There's just so many really cool things that come with Aventurine, him having almost infinite shield, and giving effectors like crazy. This is going to be an insane amount of synergy for Aventurine with a lot of different units in this game, and I can't see one unit who honestly, besides Blade, wouldn't want Aventurine. And I did lose that 80% chance of a follow-up attack, which sucks, but I just want to get another follow-up attack in before we start talking about everything else. Look at that, 10 blind bet points, and we go back to 3, which makes it a lot easier, which we get another one back to back. And then we get an ultimate, which gives us a random amount of blind bet points and gives a debuff to the enemy, which then allows for Acheron to also synergize very well with Aventurine. This dude is insane. We did 2 follow-up attacks in ultimate, and now we're at 4 hit points before we get into the next follow-up attack, which would reapply the shield again. Now, we don't have that right here in the free-to-play account to show how he works, but that's just really cool to see that this limited sustain is being absolutely nasty. And I think we are going to be making a follow-up video about limited sustains, because realistic or not, the way you want to look at this is that usually the notion that we have when we summon for characters is that DPS is age the fastest, then it goes to the sustains, then it goes to the supports, which I think this is completely false at the moment. I think as of every release of a sustain coming out into the game, every single one has been power creeped in one way or another, or they just decide to bring out something insane every single time the next sustain comes out. Right now, we are looking at Luocha and the predicament that he's in, where he's only able to sustain. And now we have someone like Xuan who's able to do CC prevention. And then you also have crit rate buff. Then you have REHOO who does energy and attack, something everybody can use for the most part, with the off-field cleanse and off-field heal. And then now we're with the Aventurine, who has infinite shield, making one-shots almost impossible, giving crit damage dealt buff, and also allowing you to get a nasty amount of follow-up attacks while being an attacker himself. Where's the next sustain, and what is he gonna do? What is she going to do? Right now, sustains currently are power creeping each other faster than DPSs, because currently right now we can still use Kafka. She's still one of the best. Jingliu is still one of the best. Acheron herself is right there at the very top of the mountain. There are still units in the DPS category that aren't power creeping, still one of the best characters in the game, while characters like Aventurine, characters like REHOO, all these characters coming out right now for the sustain path, they are slowly bringing up steps between them and the sustain behind them. You even have characters like Luocha following suit to someone like Lynx, who's able to give sustain full wave clear, or not full wave clear, but full team cleanse. And also aggression towards preservation or destruction characters. Some characters that really like that, like Clara and Blade, really love those characters, to the point where you're able to get the non-stop follow-up attacks and non-stop stacks on them, which allows for Lynx to have a little bit more value than Luocha and those teams. And then now we have Gallagher, who seems to be a very versatile and very strong sustain, with him being able to do some offensive crazy stuff like hitting 300k breaks, him being able to do a nasty amount of damage, him giving off-field healing, him with a 2 Eidolon 2 giving cleansing. There's a lot for these sustains that are coming out, and with every release they're doing something even crazier. So I do think we do need to make a video about it in regards to sustains just being absolutely wild with how they age, because these guys seem to be the ones that are aging the fastest, with the next sustain being stronger and stronger and stronger, while Harmony, they're by themselves in their own little clique, I guess you could say, because they don't age for the most part. All those characters are good no matter what, no matter how you see it. They're all usable, they're all amazing. But for DPSs, we still have some hard hitters that were there since the beginning of the game, something like Kafka, something like Jingliu, who are getting their reruns, or eventually getting their reruns, or already have their reruns, and they're still a good pickup because of how strong they are. But for the sustain's sake, whenever there's a new sustain, they're the new next best. There's never a character for the DPS class right now at the current moment who just automatically dethroning all these characters all at once. It's just a weird thing to look at when it comes to DPS versus sustain versus Harmony, but we'll talk about that in another video. Going on to his skills to look over really quickly before we go into the main account. footage for Aventurine and what he can do. His basic attack is just a basic attack, doesn't do anything else. His skill is going to provide a fortified wager shield to everyone on the team, which is really cool. The ultimate is going to give them the unnerved debuff, which makes him really good for someone like Dr. REHOO, which they all synergize very well together. And then someone like Aventurine as well. So when someone with unnerved gets hit, the crit damage dealt increases, which is an overall damage buff, which we love to see it. Another thing is that you do get crowd control debuffs, effect res, and it's up to 50%, if I'm not wrong, at level 10, which is a enormous amount of effect res to have, and a really good amount so that you can dodge these elements or these stuns or anything like that with Aventurine and his shield. So that's really cool. And then the technique as well is going to be so that you can roll for a higher defense stat, helping you out with your shields, helping you out with your crit rate. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Going on to the next portion, which is going to be the main account footage, which sadly I didn't get the best time to explain a lot what he could do, just because I was trying to do the story. You can't blame me. For the most part, as you can see, we do start off with the shield when we go into battle, which is a really cool thing. And whenever we get hit, we get that stack, which is really nice. Now, going on to the main thing, you see how this guy hit us 3 times? Well, we ended up getting 3 stacks onto our shield, which is going to allow us to be super close to getting that follow-up attack for Aventurine, allowing us to reapply that shield. Right now, we're just absolutely monstering on the enemies. I have it on auto. I'm just waiting for the, you know, combat to end so I can get back to the story. And of course, it goes all Minecraft when everything's happening, which is, I need to fix that. My bad. But we're waiting for, what is it, Aventurine to go. He gives the break, and this allows Kafka to do a follow-up attack, which then gives him a blind bet point if you didn't get to see that. Kafka does her follow-up, and then we do end up getting a blind bet point. Like I said, it's going to be very, very good for someone like REHOO and someone like Topaz, who are non-stop follow-up attacking. As you can see, went from 4 to 5 with Kafka's follow-up attack. We're going to use Aventurine's ult, adding Unnerved to him. And then not only that, we received 3 blind bet points, which boosted us up to 8 out of 7. We get to keep 1 point, and now we get to also follow-up attack, and now everyone gets a shield. Now, you don't get to see it that great because, like I said, it's in Minecraft quality. My apologies. But as you can see, Aventurine had a sliver of shield left, and then she ends up getting boosted up a little bit more. And as he follow-up attacks, this is just going to get stacked on stacked on stacked. And for however many times Aventurine gets hit, you're going to end up getting this follow-up attack. And this allows you to just infinitely have a shield, which with the right investment, I'm pretty sure you can make it indestructible, which would make it one of the most amazing and one of the most craziest sustains to have on your account, which I'm very, very excited to look forward to. And other than that, that's pretty much it. I do have a picture of the Tashman having the full version of Aventurine, all the stuff he had when it comes to a full kit. So like a 50% effect res, 34% crit rate that he got with his current build. There's a lot of really cool stuff that come with Aventurine, and sadly I just didn't take the time to look at all of that when I was completing the story on my main account, because I don't have the major traces unlocked on my free-to-play account. So other than that, this is really cool. I think Aventurine is going to be a very, very strong character coming into Star Rail, and as I said before, he does look absolutely amazing, probably one of the best sustains in the game at the current moment. But we never know how long that's going to last, because with every harmony, or not harmony, but every abundance release, there seems to be more power creep in the sustain role than there is in the support role or the DPS role. So let me know what you think in regards to that. Let me know what you think about Aventurine. Are you going to be pulling for him? Are you going to be, I don't know, are you going to get him, or are you going to skip him, all that type of stuff? Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.